I've been selling on Etsy now for about 2 years, and I can say that I've had some pretty good success. But I can also say that it hasn't been all sunshine and roses. I've done a lot of videos on Etsy teaching everything from how to set up your Etsy account to Etsy's fees. But when teaching about Etsy, there's a tendency to focus only on the good things. You're used to seeing me like this, but most of the time, I'm like this, working behind the scenes, strategizing, and trying to grow my business. Being a business owner and running an Etsy shop is great, but just like anything else, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly. In this video, I'm going to tell you 5 things Etsy sellers typically won't tell you. I'm going to focus on the ugly side of Etsy. Selling on Etsy, like running any business, can be very stressful. Etsy is easy to get started. It's a very low barrier to entry. You can get your account set up super fast, and if you don't know how to do that, you can watch the video that I have linked in the card above me. But getting started on Etsy is pretty easy. The stress comes in when it comes to running your site. And I'm not talking about just making sales, because that's part of any business. Etsy has its own set of interesting, stressful things that you have to deal with. The Etsy marketplace has its own set of rules, and it's very important that you understand those rules, because breaking them could potentially end your entire business if Etsy is the only place that you're selling. And I've learned from experience that it's easy to break one of Etsy's rules even if you're not trying. I sell joggers, and I had a listing and I wanted to refresh it. The listing had been up for about a year, and I'm thinking, let me just add some new pictures, refresh this listing. And the joggers are for the fall season, so fall season is approaching, so let me refresh the listing. I had already taken pictures of these joggers, and it just so happened that the model took the pictures in front of a staged shelf inside of a room. And on that shelf, there were some designer goods. I didn't pay those designer goods any attention. I'm just thinking, we've got these pictures. And I've had the pictures for, I don't know, maybe I probably had the pictures for a year. I decided to put those pictures on the site. I cropped them up. They look nice. I put them in my listing, and instantly my listing is taken down from Etsy. Now, I don't know what's going on or why my listing is taken down, but if you've ever had a listing deactivated, there's a section in your shop where you can see those deactivated listings. I instantly go to my email, I check my email, and it's an automated message that's telling me that I have broken an Etsy rule. And it really doesn't give me much to go on with what rule I broke, but I knew that I'd broken some kind of rule. So I instantly go to the Etsy rules online, trying to figure out what I did. I'm looking around, and it says, well, make sure that you are not doing any counterfeit type of advertising, or you're not advertising any counterfeit goods. And I'm thinking, these are joggers, and I've had these joggers up forever, so I can't be doing that. I go and look at the pictures, I scan through the pictures, and lo and behold, I look in the background, and now I can see the designer brand names in the back on the shelf. So now Etsy's algorithm, or some kind of automated feature that Etsy has when you put up pictures, has scanned the pictures, and now it looks like I am trying to make counterfeit designer joggers, I guess. And now my listing is down. And of course, I'm freaking out because my listing is down. This could be a strike against my shop. You never know with Etsy. They could take everything down, not just the listing. They could take my whole shop down. And if anybody has ever tried to get in touch with Etsy support, you know it is a nightmare. And if you talk to somebody, 9 times out of 10, that person's really not going to help you much. Now, I think Etsy might be working on this, but I'm just going for past experience. And Etsy support is hard to deal with. So I have broken a rule that I didn't even know that I was breaking and wasn't trying to break. Now, it did kind of work out, because what I did was instantly notice what was wrong. I went in, changed the background of the pictures, updated them on the listing, and just waited it out because the email said that Etsy would review my listing and make a determination on whether I was really doing something wrong. And my listing came back up the next day. So that was it actually turned out well. But I just want to let you know how easy it is to kind of break a rule. So even if you know the rules, you can still kind of get in a little bit of trouble. And yeah, that was very stressful for me because I have a lot riding on my Etsy shop. I do sell on 2 platforms, but I do make a lot of sales on Etsy, and there's no way I want to do anything that's going to take my shop down. And I don't want to do anything and not have a way to explain myself or speak to Etsy and keep things running. So that's just a kind of example of how selling on Etsy can be very stressful when you're trying just not to break the Etsy rules. Another ugly truth about selling on Etsy, and again, I think this might apply to selling in general, is that sometimes it's really going to suck to make some products. And these might be products that actually sell. For example, a product could just take too long for you to make for it to be cost effective. It could be too costly to make. It could be an absolutely beautiful product that people want to buy from you, but there's no way for you to make it profitable. And then in some cases, there might be a way for you to make it profitable, but every time you make it, it just really makes you want to cry or jump out of a window when it's time to make the product. And unfortunately, you might not know this until you come up with the product and start getting orders from it. I have an example of where this happened to me. I was selling this birthday t-shirt, and it was a custom birthday t-shirt. The shirt was absolutely beautiful, and it was customized to each person, meaning the exact birthday. So if your birthday was January 5th, 1972, that was written out on the shirt. You could choose the glitter colors that you wanted, the shirt color that you wanted. So it was a very customized shirt. Now, the bad part about the shirt is, and if anybody's making t-shirts out there, you'll understand what I mean. The shirt had glitter, 2 colors of glitter, and it also had white text or black text that went with it. So to make this shirt, it was about 3 or 4 presses per shirt. And if that's not enough, like I said, it was when cutting the shirt was customized, so you had to cut out each person's birthday. It was no mass producing this shirt or doing mass cuts of the vinyl of this shirt. It was just a lot to go on. And I was also selling this shirt when I was new to making shirts. So needless to say, my fiance and I made a couple of errors with pressing. And what would happen is if I was cutting the shirts and he was pressing the shirts, and I'm cutting all of these individual vinyl pieces, and then he's pressing, if he messes up, then I have to start over. And again, it was multiple presses. Needless to say, both of us absolutely hated this shirt. We hated making it. It was almost, and I made a great profit off of this shirt, but when this shirt came in, if I saw it in my Etsy listing of orders, I almost wanted to cry. Like, no, not another one of these shirts. And they were really selling. And after about 2 months, he and I looked at each other and agreed that although it was making money, we were just going to take this listing down. It was not worth the drama of creating this shirt, and it was making us both hate what we were doing with the shop. So this was an example of a product that was a good product. It was selling. It just wasn't worth it to make it. So you might run into that in your business, depending on what you're going to make. And like I said, unfortunately, you might not know it until you start selling this product. But not all products are good to make. Some of them absolutely suck. Another ugly truth about selling on Etsy is that although it's easy to start your shop, getting your shop to a point where you start making sales and you're making some real money on Etsy can be really time consuming. And this is true whether you're selling physical products or you're going for passive income with digital products. Although selling digital products is passive and pretty much all you have to worry about is your customer service, and you can sell the products over and over again, getting the shop set up can be time consuming. The more listings you have on your shop, the better, and it's going to take you some time to get those listings in. And if you're going to do it right, you want to make sure your shop looks aesthetically pleasing. You just don't want to throw up listings, so it's going to take you time to make those listing photos. You want to make sure that you're giving your customers enough information about how to use those digital products, and you want to make sure that you're giving them quality digital products. So taking the time to make the things you sell, whether you're going to sell SVGs or printables or resume templates or just any kind of digital file, you want to make sure that you're spending enough time to make sure you're selling a quality product. So it's not as easy as just setting up a digital shop and just letting it go. It is time consuming. And if you're selling physical products, then again, it's even more time consuming because you not only have to optimize your listings, you have to make sure that you are providing excellent customer service. And I recommend spending a lot of time on your customer service because your customers are the key to your business. So you've got customer service things that you have to work on. You've got to optimize listings. You've got your listing photos. You've got to keep adding products to your site because you don't want your products to get stale. Especially if you're offering something seasonal, you're going to be updating your listings every season. You want to be updating your listings every year, just like I said, to keep your shop fresh. So there's a lot of time that goes into it. You also want to spend time on your packaging. Etsy buyers are a different animal. They want pretty packaging. They want hands-on. They want to feel like they are your only customer and that they're dealing with a small business. You know, you're going to add thank you cards and stickers and tissue paper and all of these pretty things. Now, again, I don't want you to spend a lot of money because I talk about that in my video about Etsy shipping or shipping supplies. But you do want to give them a special touch. And again, that can be time consuming. It's one thing when you first start out and you have very few customers, but trying to keep that same level of creativity or being really in touch with the customer when you start getting a lot of sales can take a lot. Another ugly truth about selling on Etsy is that sometimes more sales equals less creativity. When I first started my shop, I really liked that I was able to provide custom shirts to people. I liked when I got a message from a buyer and they wanted to design a shirt with me, or they had their own custom logo, and we could work together on the creative process. I would get their information, I would make cute mock-ups, send it back and forth. I really didn't care how many revisions we did. It was a creative process that I was working with the customer on, and I liked that. Now, as my sales started to increase, and I was also selling some standard designs in my shop, and those standard designs started to pick up, I started having less and less time to be creative with those customers. I didn't have the time to create as many mock-ups or go through as many revisions because running the shop myself, I was busy doing other things or really just trying to get orders, cut, pressed, packed, and shipped out. So the more my shop grew, the less I was able to be creative and work hands-on with customers. So more sales equaled less creativity. Depending on what you sell, you might run into this problem as well. You might need to limit and standardize colors of the things that you sell, sizes. It's going to vary depending on what your product is, but anything that you can do to standardize and make it more efficient so you can create as many of your product as you need is going to happen. And again, that pushes you away from being as creative as you are when you initially start your Etsy shop. And the last hard truth about selling on Etsy is that some products just don't sell. Now, I know this one can be a hard pill to swallow. Depending on what you sell, if you only have one product and that one product doesn't sell, then of course that's not a good thing. But for me, what I found in the t-shirt industry, we know that t-shirts sell on Etsy. We know that apparel will sell. But I have tons of shirts in my shop that have never made one sale. I put the design out there and for whatever reason, it just did not catch on. Whether it was never found in the Etsy algorithm, so people never saw it, or whether they saw it and it was just not something that was selling at the time. But what I have found is that you're going to have certain designs or certain things that you sell that's going to bring in the majority of your revenue. And then once you start finding those things, the trick is to try to replicate those so you have more things that are selling. And again, what I'm saying might not apply to every product or every type of thing that you're selling. So I'm just giving you a generalization in what I've learned from my experience. Not everything is going to sell. And this is why I tend to think the more listings you have, the better. I even have multiple listings for the same product because I'm doing research. I'm almost treating it like a scientific experiment. I'm changing listing photos. I'm changing tags. I'm doing anything to optimize those listings so I'll know whether it is how I have it listed, if that's the reason why it's not selling, or if it's just a product that won't sell. And I gotta tell you that sometimes I have products that just won't sell no matter what I try. But I do have those other ones, my tried and true products, that once I get everything tweaked just right, those sell for me. So you have to recognize and don't be discouraged if you have something that's not selling. You've got to take your time, do your research, make sure it's a product that people want, and then start tweaking your listings to try to get them out to the masses. But if it won't sell, sometimes it won't sell. You got to fail fast. And all that means is it's a trial and error kind of thing. And the more you try, the more you learn. So you're really not failing at all. You're just moving forward and trying to find that product or those products that are going to work on Etsy. Now, I just gave you some of the ugly truths about selling on Etsy, and you might be wondering, is it even worth it? And I'm going to tell you, yes. I absolutely love selling on Etsy, even though it's stressful sometimes, but I think we just have to accept the fact that running a business is going to be stressful. It is definitely worth it. Right now, I feel like I've been selling on Etsy for about 2 years. So for me, I'm still at the beginning of my journey. And I am making anywhere between $10,000 and $15,000 per month in revenue on Etsy. And I want to stress, that's revenue. That's not after expenses. And that's another thing you have to be careful about when you're listening to Etsy sellers tell you about how well they're doing on Etsy, whether they're telling you about their actual revenue or their profit. And I might do a video on that so I can let you guys know how that works. But right now, I'm talking about my revenue. So I'm still at the beginning. There's so much more that I can do. Again, there's so much more money I can make. There's so many more things that I have to figure out. And I love selling on Etsy, and I want to continue my growth. So yes, it is definitely worth it. So I don't want to discourage you. I just want to let you know what you can expect. And if you're already in your Etsy journey and you're experiencing some of these things, I want you to know that it's not you. You're not alone. It's just a part of the process. But if you want to know how you're going to get to where I am or surpass me or take this journey with me with your Etsy shop, then watch this video right here and learn how to optimize your listings so you can start making those sales. Let's keep going.